So this one is called Lessons from a Lick Bag. Oh, God so playing with it. I said, okay, lessons from a lick bag. If any man lacks wisdom, ask God who gives it generously. James 1:5. But he said, keep reading this morning. And it says, without finding fault, he gives it. So he says it twice. Not only do I give it, even when you're wrong, it doesn't matter if you ask me for it, because I was wrong. At the end of the day, I can I can play victim all day, but at the end of the day, it is my job to be responsive and not reactive. And here Samson was reactive and not responsive to the wisdom of God. Must you go to the uncircumcised Philistines to get a wife? But Samson said to his father, get her for me. She's the right one for me. His parents did not know this was from the Lord, who was seeking an occasion to confront the Philistines, for at that time they were ruling over Israel. Judges chapter 14, verses 3 through 4. I'm going to go, I got my notes for chapters 14, 15, 16. And this isn't to teach. I feel like the wisdom of the Lord is multidimensional. And I lost my voice this weekend. About Saturday, Sunday, I don't really have a voice. And I was like, Lord, he spoke a word to me about clickbait, the bait and switch. He kept saying that, the seducing spirit. Because I kind of lost my cool. Ain't no kind, I lost my cool Saturday. And the Lord, anytime something like that, and it's every blue moon, but he will always bring me back to Samson. Now, I used to be a fighter. Not no arguer. I don't argue. Your girl is a fighter. So it's so funny that he would use Samson and, anger and... but it was a different twist this time, because at the end of it all, when I thought it was about anger, I said, Lord, I just want to be with you yesterday. I just wanted to be with him. I don't want to have to record. Like he gave me the scriptures, and I was like, this is feeling like a burden. I don't know what I'm doing this for. And the Lord kind of like, in so many words, let me know last night. I kept my journal in the bed. And he gave me a story time of, so your girl's a hustler. I'm a hustler. No, for real. Like, for real. Not that kind of hustler, but the Midas touch. The Lord said, you got the Midas touch. So when I need to get something done, I'm going to get it done. But in the 7th grade, this is story time, and I'm coming back to Samson. This is story time. So this is like an e-diary for me. No pressure on me. He told me, like, you need to be the striving student again. You don't always have to be the teacher. Like, I'm your teacher in the season. And I don't know how to show up online because I'm used to teaching, which means I have to kind of study more and present in a different way. And it's like, no, you're just supposed to be doing your daily devotion time with me, which you get excited about because he makes things that I don't think go together. And I'll be like, Lifetime ain't got nothing on you, Lord. Okay? Like, it excites me. And I'm unbothered, I'm unmoved. I don't really get excited like that. So the Lord has a way of keeping it spicy, honey. So he was like, just be the striving student again. And that kind of like, it freed me last night, because he reminded me of a story time. Like, he said, you could share it. And I was in the 7th grade, had just moved from Kaylene, like my military brat. And baby, I don't know if they knew they was moving us to the hood. We went to Pleasant Grove, honey. That was big. I didn't have this soulfulness that I got now. I sounded like a Caucasian, So I go there. It's a shock, but the Lord put something in me, like a desire, not knowing at the time that my dad had just lost his lucrative job, not knowing that. But it's just this desire, like, hey, why don't you start selling candy out your backpack? So I went to Sam's. I just said, hey, can I go to Sam's, and do you mind buying me some candy and a big thing of chips? I just feel like I want to, I know now it's the Holy Ghost. I want to sell some stuff. First week made $200. Like, that's a lot these days, but 7th grade, 20 years ago, yeah. Your girl was balling. So every week I would make no less than $150, and I was excited until not realizing, I'm like, where's my doggone money on my little blue, where's my money at? And they're like, oh, we got to refill, So it's like, I say, you know what? I don't really want to do it anymore. It's not fun anymore. I'm bag a lady. Like, I'm just candy lady over there. Candy girl. And then the other song you can think of. And then I just was like, I don't want to do it anymore. Like, this was fun. This is great. I don't want to do it. And then when the pressure was like, no, you can't quit. You have to do it. Not realizing I'm actually, my $600 to $800 a month is helping paying bills. I don't want that pressure. And because I'm doing this, the Lord has like had me researching my attachment style. I'm dismissive avoidant, and I'm healing from that. Like, when you put pressure on us, we don't want to do it. Like, we don't want the pressure. And that's what I started feeling like YouTube was for me. And God had to like remind me, this was never for you to perform. This was never for you to teach what thus said the Lord. Even though I speak to you, this is so I'm realizing like I'm actually seeing my cycles. I'm seeing what God is dealing with me about. And sometimes I'm like, dang, I wrote this down in 12/12/2018 and we're back here again. So it's like therapeutic, and say, hey, this is how you're going to be a better leader. This is how you're going to be a better daughter. This is how you're going to be a better person. This is what shows up. And if it's not documented, you're not watching it back, you just go through life and you fall in these mistakes every couple of years. And I want you to get a strategy, like, and other people may be going through what you're going through, right? It may be for a later time. My husband's like, like, don't think about it that way. Don't feel like you have to be the teacher. And so when I'm talking to the Lord about it, I'm like, you're right. Like, this is you and I. And I said, well, then who am I talking to? Is this like an e-diary? Is you give me these witty titles? He used to give me in praise and worship, witty titles for praise and worship. And because I'm a writer, I love that, because it's like a journey to figure out what he means by it. So this one is called Lessons from a Lick Bag. Oh! God's so playing with it. I said, okay, lessons from a lick bag, And it was about Samson. I thought it was about the anger and me losing my cool. Like, yeah, I was being provoked, but I don't know if you watched one of my earlier videos, but then it was like 2 weeks, and the Lord was talking about he wanted his children to take accountability. And he was kind of dealing with me about it last night and saying, yeah, daughter. Okay, I lost my train of thought, so I may just have to cut that part out, and I just started over because I got lost in the sauce in my own stream of consciousness. But so when I go to Samson, I'm in the NIV today, and I just start reading chapter 14, 15, 16, and I'm looking at it, and at first I'm thinking God's talking to me about anger, but when it all was said and done, God was like, Samson did not demonstrate wisdom. And he's like, daughter, you have, like, your kids were there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have called you to a higher level of leadership, and you have to use wisdom, whether you are justified, whether you are provoked, whether you are right or you are wrong. If any man lacks wisdom, ask God, who gives it generously. James 1:5. But he said, keep reading this morning. And it says, without finding fault, he gives it. So he says it twice. Not only do I give it, even when you're wrong, it doesn't matter if you ask me for it, because I was wrong. At the end of the day, I can I can play victim all day, but at the end of the day, it is my job to be responsive and not reactive. And here Samson was reactive and not responsive to the wisdom of God, because one thing people don't touch on, and since I'm in a different stage in my life, with 4 children, a husband, and a leader, it's not just about anger, right? He would talk to me about that back in the day or James, which is funny. He brought me back to James, because James 3 about that tongue, boy, like tame that tongue. And when I first came to the Lord, that's the first thing he dealt with me was James chapter 3. Control that tongue, because it cuts. And people tell me, your tongue, you don't even have to cuss. Your tongue will cut somebody down. And God was like, I gave you that wittiness to edify, not to tear down. You understand, daughter? I'm like, like my 2-year-old son, he goes, yeah, ma'am. That's what I'm like, yes, ma'am, yes, sir. So back in Samson, I'm like, dang, I'm back in Judges. I mean, but this time I was like, thank you, Lord, because even in this, and you got me living in Wisdom Village, everything is about wisdom in the season for me. Like, it all comes back down to wisdom. And I asked God, Lord, give me wisdom, because in this, what I was saying was people don't really teach on that Samson ruled over Israel for 20 years as a judge, not the king. They're similar to a king, for battle. He's a strong, mighty warrior. So God gave him that strength to be able to judge, to be able to fight in war, not to be reckless and giving riddles and, out of the eater, something to eat, out of the strong, something sweet. That's what he said to the Philistines when he came and got his wife. And they're like, did you come here to rob us? Like, and his wife is just crying, and she's from Timnah, and the wisdom of the Lord was, you're going to get this Philistine woman uncircumcised. His parents didn't understand, but the wisdom of God was, I'm going to use your strength. I'm going to use your wit and your charm and your handsomeness and your role, in power, because women love power, to put you in the camp of the Philistines. Not because Samson loves foreign women or people that love false gods. That was the wisdom of God to be like, okay, I'm going to use what you got. They say use what you got to get what you want. I'm going to do that. But instead of doing that, Samson used that strength and used that arrogance and used the Lord being with him to hurt others. Like, we talk about Delilah, but come on, he slept with a prostitute before that. Okay, right before he fell in love with Delilah. And right before that, his father-in-law gave his wife away to his friend. Ooh, cold-blooded. Because he said, I thought you hated her. Why would he say that? Because you're doing reckless things. There's no way that you can say you love my daughter and you got people coming up saying, I'm gonna burn her and her father and his whole household alive if your husband doesn't give us, if you don't basically seduce and coax your husband into giving us the answer to this riddle. So it happens with Delilah. And because these women serve false gods, they're already kind of manipulative because they offer up sacrifices to manipulate and get what they want. You felt like you needed the wisdom of the Lord, Samson. You needed the wisdom of the Lord, and you used it for your own benefit. And I kept seeing the number 30. God kept highlighting that to me this time. So I'm like, one, he's a leader. He's not just a random strong guy in the Lord. 20 years. That's a long time. You need the wisdom of the Lord. So he's out here getting captured, and then don't kill me. And then the strength of the Lord comes upon him, the spirit of the Lord. And then he takes a jawbone. He gets revived and rejuvenated from drinking water from a donkey's jawbone. And he take that same jawbone and kill 1,000 men. Man, by himself. So the Lord was with him, but it's like the Lord would come upon him and he's like, okay, I'm delivering you out of this over and over and over. But kind of like God told me when I moved here, hey, I keep saving you, but you're going to use wisdom in this season. And henceforth, forevermore, we're going to use wisdom. So God was showing me it's not just your anger, it's the lack of wisdom, because you make poor decisions when you don't use wisdom. You don't ask me for wisdom. Okay, this is coming against me. This person is attacking me or whatever. God, give me wisdom. Even if I'm at fault, the word says without fault, he gives it. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, 30. Because Samson, he feasted there, when his father went down to get his wife from Timnah. And it was customary for a feast to be thrown for the bridegrooms, okay? So when he appeared, he was given 30 companions. And then in his little riddle, and he's like, I'll give you 30 linen garments and 30 changes of clothes. So it was like 30, 30, 30. So I looked it up, strong concordance in the Hebrew. And it meant vessel. And I kind of was like, I don't know what you're going with this, but that was the day before yesterday, the night before. No, yesterday. I'm sorry, early yesterday. My days are going together. And I'm like, vessel. And it wasn't until you had me watch this podcast, I'm like, I just really don't want to do this YouTube no more, Lord. I just don't understand. It's me and you. I know you and I talk about I have one that I was so raw with, I unlisted that thing. I said, oh no, like, I can't be that vulnerable out here. I was like, I could just, like, you know, record it like he said and just unlist it. But in this thing he was talking about linear and circular, like when you come from linear, it's like you're receiving validation from people, or if you don't get any, if you get views, you feel good about yourself, or blah blah blah. If you feel like you're teaching someone, helping someone, but when you don't want to do it anymore, that's when you come into the circular realm, like, you know, and you are doing it unto the Lord. You're doing it when you, that's when you tap into, you're actually giving, when you don't want to do it. And it was such a conviction that that's when you're in tune with your creator. That's when you're in tune with the Lord that made you, because now you're pouring from something you don't really have. Like, you're giving because you're doing it unto the Lord because he told you to. Because I was like, I don't get it. It was like, you don't have to get it. Like, I told you to do this. You need to do this. So I'm like, okay. So what is this 30 about? And it made me a little teary-eyed, because he said Samson should have been a vessel of wisdom. Daughter, I want you to be a vessel of wisdom. 30 represented wisdom. So that's why it kept popping up in Judges 14, 15, 6, like 30. I was like, what is this 30? Like, he was like, a vessel. Like, you're supposed to be my vessel. So use wisdom in your decision making, in anything you say and anything you do, like proactively, reactively, like, use wisdom. And so when I asked him, like, how do I pursue this? How do I keep going when I feel like I got so much longer to go? He was like, take the pressure off, like the story time. This ain't about that. This ain't about being a teacher. This ain't about showing up perfectly. Heck, I got my favorite sweater on. I would never wear something twice. I didn't even realize it because I'm in front of CBS and he's just like, hey, just record, you know? But it's cold out here. Is it spring? Is it summer? Is it winter? I don't know. Welcome to Texas. But I'm like, whatever. And so God intentionally named it Improv 1921 because it's improv. You just do it on the spot. It takes away the perfectionism that I've been wired or molded by people to have to present in a certain way, have to speak in a certain way. Like, you know, like I have my money voice. Like, you wouldn't even know who I am if I'm selling on the phone. You know, so God is like, authentically be you. And I wrote it down this morning. Like, he said, it was in my sleep over and over. He said, real, raw, relatable. Real, raw, relatable. And he knows I'm a sucker for alliteration. Okay. He said, just be real, be raw, be relatable. Like, because I was like, who am I even talking to? I guess myself, because this is what I talk to myself and the Lord all day anyway. I talk to the Lord all day, so is it any different? An introvert who can be an ambivert, because I could be extrovert when I need to be, but I am very to myself. I make these videos once I drop the kids off or about to pick the kids up, because that's the only really time I have. And my husband was like, I don't want you to feel like you're already giving your, I love that you're studying, but you can't give your whole day to that. And then you start feeling resentful. And he's like, you're just supposed to be talking about what you and the Lord be chopping it up about. And I was like, that's true. Like, my lesson today was lessons from a lick back. It was for, like, learn from that. Learn, like, you trying to get your lick back. And revenge doesn't do anything but lead to destruction, and ultimately led to Samson's death. You know, I don't want the Spirit of the Lord to be taken from me. Like, his eyes were gouged out at the end in chapter 16. And, you know, but the Lord was so merciful. He said, just give me, you know, your strength one more time. And it says, the word, you know, it said that he killed more people in that temple when he brought it down than when he was alive. And I'm like, I'm already counting over 1,000 people just in this little chapter that he killed. And that's not included in battle. So, yeah, he still had his last hoorah. But if he would have asked God for wisdom, who gives it generously without finding fault, would that have been his end? No. So the Lord was telling me, I've given you that sharp tongue to rebuke, you know, to be witty, to edify, to prophesy, to love on your children, to love on your husband, to love on my people even when they're ugly to you. But it is not to use in anger. It is not to lack wisdom. Say what I say. Don't say what I don't say. Basically, like, what would Jesus do? You know, like, ugh. Help me, Lord. But yeah, like, I just had to pray, Lord, show my soul what it needs to become the vessel for fill in the blank, whatever your fill in the blank is, because we need it. So, lessons from a lick back. It's my e-diary, I guess. I don't know what to call it, but that's the title the Lord gave me. Lessons from a lick back. Remember, I love you. God loves you. And he's omniscient. He's all wise. He's all wise. So even if you think you got it together, you don't. You don't. Ask God for wisdom, for he gives it generously. God bless.